إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. أما بعد، فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله، وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم، شر الأمور محدثاتها، وكل محدثة بدعة، وكل بدعة ضلالة، وكل ضلالة في النار. We begin by praising Allah Azza wa Jal. We seek His aid and we seek His forgiveness. As we seek refuge with Him from the evils of our souls and the consequences of our actions. Whomsoever Allah guides, and none can misguide, and whomsoever Allah sets astray, and none can guide. And I testify that there is no God worthy of worship except Allah Azza wa Jal, with no partners, and that Muhammad ibn Abdullah is His slave and messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. As for what proceeds, and the best of speech is the speech of Allah Azza wa Jal, and the best of guidance is the guidance of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. The worst of affairs are the newly invented matters in the religion, and every newly invented matter is an innovation. And every innovation is a going astray, and every going astray is deserving of the fire. Bismillah ta'ala, we would like to remind ourselves this morning with a hadith from the ahadith of the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and a brief explanation of that hadith, and to ponder upon the meanings of this hadith together, and how the ramifications and the implementation of the hadith can have an effect on not only our homes and the community, but on the society at large. So it comes in the Sahih of Imam Muslim that he says, حدثنا أبو مروان محمد بن عثمان العثماني قال حدثنا إبراهيم بن سعد عن ابن شهاب عن عامر بن واثلة أبي الطفيل رضي الله عنه أن نافع بن عبد الحارث لقي عمر بن الخطاب رضي الله عنه بعسفان، وكان عمر استعمله على مكة، فقال عمر: من استخلفت على أهل الوادي؟ قال: استخلفت عليهم ابن أبزة. قال: ومن ابن أبزة؟ قال: رجل من موالينا. قال عمر: فاستخلفت عليهم مولى؟ قال: إنه قارئ لكتاب الله، عالم بالفرائض، قاض. قال عمر رضي الله عنه: أما إن نبيكم قال صلى الله عليه وسلم: إن الله يرفع بهذا الكتاب أقواما ويضع به آخرين. It comes in the Sahih of Imam Muslim that he narrates upon the authority from his Shaykh Abu Marwan Muhammad ibn Uthman, that relate from his Shaykh Ibrahim ibn Sa'd, who relate from Ibn Shihab al-Zuhri, who relate from the Sahabi Abi Tufayl radiyallahu anhu, that he said that Nafi' ibn Abd al-Harith met with Umar ibn al-Khattab in Usfan, this place called Usfan. And Umar ibn al-Khattab had placed Nafi' ibn Abd al-Harith, this companion, in authority over the city of Mecca, as a governor of Mecca. فقال Umar, when he met Nafi', and they are not in Mecca, من استخلفت على أهل الوادي? Who have you placed in charge of the wadi, of the valley. And this is from the descriptions of Mecca, as it is a valley between mountains. As Ibrahim alayhi salam, when he left his family, Hajar and Ismail, he said, إِنِّي أَسْكَنْتُ مِنْ ذُرِّيَّتِي بِوَادٍ غَيْرِ ذِي زَرْعٍ. So it is a valley. So Mecca is a valley between mountains. And Umar is asking him, who did you leave in charge in Mecca if you are here with me? قال استخلفت عليهم ابن أبزة. He says, I left in charge over them a man by the name of Ibn Abza. So Umar, not knowing who he is, asked, وَمَنْ Ibn Abza? Who is Ibn Abza? قال رجل من موالينا. He says, he is one of our slaves. قال عمر. So Umar, out of astonishment, says, فَاسْتَخْلَفْتَ عَلَيْهِمْ مَوْلًا. You have put an authority over them, a slave. قال, this companion Nafi' ibn Abd al-Harith replied, إِنَّهُ قَارِئٌ بِكِتَابِ اللَّهِ عَالِمٌ بِالْفَرَائِضِ قَاضٍ. He says, in reply, in defense of his decision in placing Ibn Abza in authority over the people of Mecca as a governor, he says, he is one who knows the book of Allah. He is a memorizer of the book of Allah Azza wa Jal. And he is knowledgeable with the halal and the haram. Here the fara'id, alimun bil fara'id. The fara'id, it can mean the obligations of the religion, of the sharia, but it can also mean a specific science of inheritance. But as the ulama explain here, alimun bil fara'id, meaning knowledgeable with regards to the halal and the haram, knowledgeable of the sharia and its ahkam, the rulings of the legislation. وَقَاضٍ, meaning قَاضٍ بِالْحَقِّ. He judges with the truth, he is just. And these characteristics are what give a person ahliyah, qualification to lead. And so he did not place him in authority over them because of anything but his qualifications. The people of Mecca, that is where the people of Quraysh resided. They are the highest of lineage amongst the Arabs. And we know that Quraysh themselves, when the slaves accepted Islam, and they were from the first to accept Islam, those who were slaves and had weak lineage, they were the ones surrounding the Messenger ﷺ in the early stages of Islam. Quraysh did not like this. And they refused to sit with the Messenger ﷺ because he had these slaves around him. And the poor and the weak. So the people of Quraysh, because of their nobility at that time, and they were not Muslim, they rejected that idea of even sitting with these individuals that they saw to be less than them. However, as we know, Allah Azza wa Jal told the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam to not get rid of those around him for the sake of pleasing Quraysh. Because they believed in Allah and they were sincere in their belief. وَلَا تَطْرُدِ الَّذِينَ يَدْعُونَ رَبَّهُمْ بِالْغَدَاةِ وَالْعَشِيِّ يُرِيدُونَ وَجْهَهُ. And do not get rid of those that call upon their Lord day and night seeking His face. This ayah is referring to those from the slaves and the weak surrounding the Messenger ﷺ that Quraysh wanted to get rid of. And so the people, they look at the status of the individual. Likewise with the people of Nuh. And when the weak followed Nuh alayhi salam, what did they say? What did they say to Nuh? Now, again. تبعك أراذلنا, meaning the weak amongst us follow you. So this was a point that they rejected. They refused to follow the messenger because of these individuals around them. And this is the nature of those who are noble too, that they don't wish to sit with those that are less than them. And don't want to be under the authority of those who are less than them. This is why the Prophet ﷺ, when he commanded with hearing and obeying to the ruler, وَإِن تَأَمَّرَ عَلَيْكُمْ عَبْدٌ حَبَشِيٌّ, even if a slave was to be put in authority over you, then you are to hear and obey. Why specifying the slave? Because it is very difficult to obey and to be under the authority of a person you knew was at one time a slave. However, in this hadith, a slave is put in authority over a people. And it was due to nothing but his qualifications. And what were his qualifications? Ilm, knowledge. Quran is knowledge. The halal and the haram, knowledge. Being just requires knowledge. Being just is placing things in their proper place. Giving everyone their haqq. You won't know that without knowledge. So when Umar ibn Khattab heard this, he says, verily your Prophet has said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَرْفَعُ بِهَذَا الْكِتَابِ أَقْوَامًا وَيَضَعُ بِهِ آخَرِينَ. Your Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has said, verily Allah will raise with this book a people, and He will belittle and disgrace with this book, by way of this book, a people. Umar ibn Khattab said this in affirming the truth of the Prophet's words, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, that this was its reality, that it had become an actuality, a reality, the words of the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in front of them. Now, a slave was put in authority because of his knowledge of the Quran, knowledge of the Sunnah. And so, what do we derive extract from this? That the Quran and the knowledge contained in the Quran, in it is honor. It brings honor to the individual. It brings nobility. True nobility and honor. And not only that, the Quran is also a proof for you or against you. As the Prophet ﷺ, he said, Al-Qur'anu hujjatun laka aw alayk. So either the Quran, you will learn it and implement it and it will benefit you and be a proof for you, or you will leave it off what is it contained in it. You will leave off what is contained in it from halal and haram. And it will bring about punishment from Allah for you and disgrace you. So there is encouragement in the hadith to learn the Quran, learn the Sunnah. As we said, the Sunnah is the explanation of the Quran, is the clarification of the Quran. They are together. Holding on to the Quran and the Sunnah together. In it is nobility. In it is honor. And it warns us from knowing the Quran and not acting upon it. Because here what is intended by إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَرْفَعُ بِهَذَا الْكِتَابِ أَقْوَامًا يعني بالعمل الذي في القرآن. Not only that you know the Quran, but you act upon the Quran. Likewise, القرآن حجة لك أو عليك. The Quran, you acting by it is a proof for you. If you don't act upon it, it's not no longer a proof, it's a proof against you. That you know the truth and you don't act upon it. And so, knowing is not enough. Acting upon it as well is what is required. And this is al-ilm al-nafi'. What is al-ilm al-nafi'? Beneficial knowledge. Beneficial knowledge is that knowledge that brings forth action, that brings forth thamara, fruits. As for knowledge that brings about kibr, takabbur, and boasting, and arrogance, and laziness, and brings about nothing from the obedience of Allah, that this is ilmun ghayru nafi'. This is not beneficial knowledge. So not the knowledge of the Quran, knowing the Quran alone is not sufficient for you to gain nobility and honor, true nobility and honor. And for the Quran to be a proof for you, you must act upon it. And so you ask Allah for beneficial knowledge, just as Allah Azza wa Jalla ordered His Messenger to increase him in knowledge, but also the Prophet ﷺ would seek refuge from ilmun la yanfa'. He would seek refuge from knowledge that did not benefit, and this is the knowledge that does not benefit you, that which you don't practice, that which you don't act upon. Knowledge that increases you in humility, in humbleness, in fear of Allah, that is true knowledge. As Allah Azza wa Jalla, He says, إِنَّمَا يَخْشَى اللَّهَ مِنْ عِبَادِهِ الْعُلَمَاءِ. Verily, those who truly fear Allah are those who have knowledge. Because knowledge brings about fear, khashya. Imam Ahmad used to say, al-ilmu khashya. You having knowledge, how should you be known if you are a person of knowledge? With khashya. Not arrogance, not boasting, not looking down at the people. If you are truly a person of knowledge, you are a person of humility and humbleness and fearing Allah Azza wa Jal. That is knowledge. That is the sign of having knowledge. And that is what brings about honor. Because you act upon what you know. And as the more you increase in knowledge, the more you should increase in fear of Allah Azza wa Jal. Because as we know, the one who learns more about Allah and His religion, he's more fearful of Allah. من كان بالله أعلم كان منه أخوف. Whoever is more knowledgeable of Allah is more fearful of Allah. And the opposite is true. If you are ignorant of Allah, you are not going to fear Him properly. And so the point here is the one who knows and acts upon his knowledge is not equal to the one who does not know. Or the one who knows and doesn't act upon his knowledge. They are not equal. And so we must understand this. And from today, and from this weekend's seminar, we saw the effects in the work of the Imam Hafiz al-Hakami. We saw the effects of knowledge upon an individual. The authorship we are going through was authored by a man who was not expected from him to become from the greatest scholars in his region. A person living in the desert, a shepherd, in a time when there is not many avenues of learning. It is not expected. However, Allah Azza wa Jal raised him by way of knowledge and produced beneficial works that reached all of the world. Today, his works have benefited the world into all over the world. And I wouldn't be exaggerating if I wouldn't say that I would have said that his works have reached every country, every land. I wouldn't be exaggerating. From this desert, from this poor family, came a scholar, came from them a scholar. So we also see the effects of knowledge in our time upon an individual. And so it is upon us to realize the importance of knowledge of Kitab and Sunnah, of the Quran and the Sunnah, and acting upon it. Realize that importance and act upon them. Encourage, firstly, ourselves to be studious and learning, constantly learning the religion of Allah and acting upon what we know. Everything we know, we act upon it. And this is how a person increases. This is how a person increases in knowledge. that they act upon what they know. This is the meaning of the verse in Surah Al-Ankabut. وَالَّذِينَ جَاهَدُوا فِينَا لَنَهْدِيَنَّهُمْ سُبُلَنَا. It comes in the tafsir of Ibn Abi Hatim. He brings a statement of one of the Salaf regarding this verse, in which the meaning is من عمل بما يعلم علمه الله ما لا يعلم. من عمل بما يعلم علمه الله ما لا يعلم. Because Allah said, وَالَّذِينَ جَاهَدُوا فِينَا لَنَهْدِيَنَّهُمْ سُبُلَنَا. Those who strive in our path, we will guide them to the path. What is the meaning? Those who act upon what they know, they strive to act upon what they know, Allah will teach them that which they do not know. وَالَّذِينَ جَاهَدُوا فِينَا. Those who strive in our path, for our sake, by acting upon the knowledge that they have, Allah will guide them to the path of ilm and to guide them to knowledge that they did not have. And this is also found in the meaning of اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. That you say every day in your salah, اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. You are asking Allah to increase you a firmness upon the sirat and to increase you from the sirat. Increase you in thabat and upon more knowledge of the sirat. Because as we mentioned before, the sirat al-mustaqim is in every chapter of the religion. And so you might be upon the sirat al-mustaqim, but you don't know all of the affairs of the sirat al-mustaqim. And so when you increase in acting upon knowledge, Allah Azza wa Jalla increases you in knowledge. And for our communities, we do not belittle any type of learning. For any community you are from, whether you are from here, whether you are from out of state, and you have a community you came from, or you are from a community that doesn't have a masjid yet, you do not belittle learning the book of Allah and the Sunnah of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Because there are too many examples in history of the effects of knowledge and acting upon knowledge upon an individual and a community and a society. Too many examples of that recipe of success to be ignored. And how that knowledge raises and honors individuals and communities and societies. Look at the companions. The companions, by way of learning from the Messenger ﷺ and acting upon what they were taught, Allah Azza wa Jal raised them over the Romans and the Persians, and they conquered the East and the West. It was by knowledge and learning and acting upon their knowledge. And on a smaller scale, we see that throughout history, the examples of how Allah Azza wa Jal raised certain individuals, from the likes of this hadith, Ibn Abza, who was a slave and was put in authority over the people of Mecca because of his knowledge. And a person who reads the biographies of some of the ulama and where they came from and where they grew up, and how they reached high levels of knowledge, became judges, became imams, scholars in this religion. It is not to be ignored. The hadith, إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَرْفَعُ بِهَذَا الْكِتَابِ أَقْوَامًا وَيَضَعُ بِهِ آخَرِينَ. It is not to be ignored that Allah will raise individuals by way of this book and disgrace and belittle others. And so in our lives, within ourselves, firstly, as I said, we concern ourselves with knowledge. None of us should say that we are too busy to learn. We don't have enough time in the day. None of us should say that I don't have a place to learn. The avenues have been made available. You are to learn and act upon what you know, even if it is in small steps. But as long as you are progressing, and likewise encouraging your families to learn, and having your houses become houses of knowledge, not houses of play and amusement. If you raise your child upon the importance of knowledge, this is when you will see the effects of the religion upon him. When you give importance in your life to ilm and acting upon ilm, you will see that your child will follow you. And so, do not look at the state of your community now and think that it will always be like that. Rather know that Allah Azza wa Jal will raise a people with knowledge. And if it was only the reward that is found in learning and propagating ilm, then it would be sufficient of a reason to learn, let alone that which comes with it from nobility and honor. And so, the point is that a person should give importance to this knowledge of the Book of Allah and the knowledge of the Sunnah of the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. From those who are responsible for the Masjid, and those who are responsible for the families, and those who are responsible as guardians for others, for family members. You are to be an example for those you are in authority over. And the Prophet ﷺ, he said, كُلُّكُمْ رَاعٍ وَكُلُّكُمْ مَسْئُولٌ عَنْ رَعِيَّتِهِ. Every one of you is shepherds. And every one of you is responsible for his flock and for his herd. So you will be responsible. You will be taken into account upon how you raised your family. What did you teach your family? What efforts did you put in making sure that your child knows al-halal and haram? Where are you with regards to the Sunnah of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Do not undermine and belittle any act of teaching and learning and consistency upon that. And all of us as parents, and those who have siblings, and those who have parents, they are children, all of us want to see our families prosper. And we want to see our families upon khayr, upon goodness. Know that the path to that is knowledge. It's not making sure that your family has wealth and good health. That's secondary. But really, seeing your children obeying Allah Azza wa Jal, and seeing your parents obedient to Allah Azza wa Jal, and your brothers and your sisters, that is true happiness of the heart. Nothing is equal to that. And this is why the explanation of the ayah, الَّذِينَ يَقُولُونَ رَبَّنَا هَبْ لَنَا مِنْ أَزْوَاجِنَا وَذُرِّيَّاتِنَا قُرَّةَ أَعْيُنٍ وَجَعَلْنَا لِلْمُتَّقِينَ إِمَامًا. The explanation of Hasan al-Basri is that what is the meaning of Allah make our wives and our children the coolness of our eyes? He says that when you see your child obeying Allah Azza wa Jal and your wife obeying Allah and His Messenger, this is the coolness of your eyes. This is the coolness of your eyes. And so, that is the happiness of your heart. So you are asking Allah Azza wa Jal for this happiness, you also must take strides and strive to educate your children and your families so that they are in obedience to Allah Azza wa Jal, staying away from His disobedience. And it is not for any one of us to think that I am excluded from this. All of us are responsible for our families, whether you are the parents, the mother or the father, they are all responsible. And so you must place in your child that love of learning from an early age. And like we said, the child will follow the example of the parents. If he sees the parents giving importance to knowledge and ilm and Quran and Sunnah, he will follow them. And you will get the reward for that. You will get the reward for what your children act upon from that ilm, because you encourage them. You put that in their hearts. You cultivated them upon that. And it is what raises a person, what raises a family, what raises a community, is their acting upon the Book of Allah and the Sunnah of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It's not wealth. It's not that the community does not need wealth. Community does not need more individuals to aid them. What the community needs, every community needs, is knowledge. Knowledge being disseminated. Knowledge being acted upon. Brothers and sisters encouraging one another. The brothers encouraging the brothers, the sisters encouraging the sisters upon what? Ilm. And acting upon that ilm. That is when you will see your community prosper. And know that the communities that you see prospering truly are those that have given concern to knowledge and learning and acting upon ilm. It was not wealth. And so do not undermine the effects of learning, of knowledge, and acting upon that knowledge upon an individual and upon a family and upon a society. Do not undermine that. Rather know that that is the true path of success, path of nobility, and path of honor. This is a reminder for me first, and for my brothers and sisters in Islam. And this is what we, alhamdulillah, was taught by our ulama and our teachers, giving importance to knowledge. And there are individuals in some parts of the Arabian Peninsula that their only concern is teaching the people. Every day they come to the Masjid and they sit for hours just to teach the people for no compensation. And this is the way of the messengers, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They did not ask for any compensation from the people. Rather, their concern was with educating, cultivating the people. And so this is what we need. We need those that will learn and act and teach. And this is what Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab says is binding upon every Muslim man and woman. Al-ilm, wal-amal, wal-da'watu ilayh, wal-sabr ala al-adha fihi. These four affairs are binding upon every Muslim man and woman to learn about Allah Azza wa Jal and about His Messenger Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and about His religion. Then act upon that. And then call to that. And then be patient upon what that requires. It is upon every one of us to learn and act and call to what we know. And as I said, you don't need a platform. You don't need a minbar to call to what you know. You begin with yourselves and your families. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu qu anfusakum wa ahlikum nara. Save yourselves and your families. This is who you are obligated to call. And then your friends and your other family members. A person who is truly sincere in calling the people, he does not need a platform. He does not need a minbar. He does not need a mic. He does not need someone filming him. He does not need someone recording him. Rather, he is behind the scenes. When no one is looking, he is calling the people. He's taking them by the hand. He's teaching them. Even if it is Surah Al-Fatiha. Because he understands the importance of teaching what he knows. Learning and acting upon what he knows and then calling to it. At every according to your capability, according to what you know, not speaking about that which you do not know, rather calling to the people to what you know and what you understand from their religion, starting with your families, and those that are with you. This is how the da'wah of Islam began. يا أيها المدثر قم فأنذر وَرَبَّكَ فَكَبِّرْ. From the early stages of Islam, there was da'wah. What had been revealed before that from the Quran? Some of us only say the ayat in Surah Al-Alaq. But Allah Azza wa Jal commands the messenger to call the people. So you call to what you know. قُمْ فَأَنذِرْ. And then, what does Allah say later on? After that? Later on came the revelation, وَأَنذِرْ عَشِيرَتَكَ الْأَقْرَبِينَ. The early stages of Islam begin by calling your close family members. This is in the seerah of the Messenger ﷺ is an example for us. The Prophet ﷺ began with calling who? His family members and his close friends. Those who he knew would trust him. So we begin, before you try to call people that you do not know and people that might not accept from you, call from those who know you. Call those who have more right upon you. Your children, your parents, your brothers, your sisters, your neighbors. We are concerned with those that are distant, that are far, but we neglect those who are close. Rather, the Sunnah is the opposite. وَأَنذِرْ عَشِيرَتَكَ الْأَقْرَبِينَ. Warn your close family members. Follow the Sunnah of the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam in this. By calling to what you know, acting upon what you know first, and calling to it. Every one of us, at your capacity. And Muhammad Abdul Wahhab extracts this from Surah Al-Muddathir. And he has a tafsir in which he extracts benefits from some of the chapters of the Quran. And he mentions that from the benefits of Ya ayyuhal muddathir qum fa'andir is a da'wah ila Allah. And that you don't suffice with only yourself, you call to Allah Azza wa Jal. Every one of us, upon us, is to call to Allah Azza wa Jal, based upon our capacity, based upon what we know. And speaking about only what we know, not speaking about what we do not know. And so hopefully this brings clarity to our recipe for success. What is the means of success in this life? Al-ilm wal-amal wal-da'watu ilayh wal-sabr ala al-adafin. This is what will bring you success. Learning, acting upon knowledge, and calling to it, and being patient. And this is why also in those end of those ayat in Surah Al-Muddathir, وَلِرَبِّكَ فَاصْبِرْ وَلِرَبِّكَ فَاصْبِرْ. Allah Azza wa Jal, what Muhammad Abdul Wahhab said was obligatory upon you, upon every single man and woman from the Muslimin. Allah Azza wa Jal referred to those four affairs in this ayat in Surah Al-Muddathir. He referred to ilm and amal and da'wah and sabr. So it is not innovated, this kalam. This is from the Quran. This is why our ai they extract benefits from the Quran that we might not have been aware of. Al-ilm wal-amal wal-da'watu ilayhi wal-sabr Al-Adafi is found in the first ayat of Surah Al-Muddathir, which is from the earliest of chapters revealed upon the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And so, knowledge is honor. acting upon knowledge and teaching that knowledge, this is when you will see honor come to a community, nobility come, prosper, seeing success. But before all of that, we know that we need ikhlas. We need to be sincere. And this is from acting upon knowledge is being sincere. فَاعْلَمْ أَنَّهُ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا اللَّهُ وَاسْتَغْفِرْ لِذَنبِكَ. Know that there is no God worthy of worship except Allah, and seek forgiveness. Knowledge necessitates action. If you have knowledge of La ilaha illallah, it necessitates ikhlas. And so, from acting upon knowledge is being sincere. And as we mentioned earlier, having knowledge is, from the sign of having knowledge, is being more fearful of Allah Azza wa Jalla. Al-ilm al-khashya. Knowledge is having fear of Allah Azza wa Jalla. And so none of us, knowledge should not increase any of us in arrogance, should not increase any of us in looking down upon the people. Know that if you see arrogance, if you see this affair of a person being boastfulness, this is a sign of his ignorance, not a sign of his knowledge. If you see it in yourselves, know that it is ignorance, that you must learn more, have proper ilm, because your ilm has not benefited you. And so understand this, brothers and sisters, and we ask Allah Azza wa Jal to increase us in beneficial knowledge. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين.
Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. Inshallah, we'll be serving breakfast in the next 5 minutes. Please bear with us, inshallah. Be patient. Jazakallahu khairan.